ongoing. This marks the first such a meeting being held at the Kremlin in this century. In a short while, we will go to the scene when the post-summit press conference will be held. But before that, let's take a look back at all the events that has transpired leading up to this historic summit. On his trip to Russia, President Moon Jae-in was accompanied by key members of South Korean firms, including Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. Today at a forum in Moscow, that delegate, along with more than 100 Russian business leaders, plus local government officials, they discussed ways to boost economic ties. Our Kim Hye-sung has the highlights from that very session.
Under the theme An Era of Peace on the Korean Peninsula, Road to Co-Prosperity in Eurasia, government officials and business leaders from South Korea and Russia gathered in Moscow to discuss ways to expand bilateral economic cooperation, including manufacturing, rail transport, and energy.
지금 한국은 역사적인 전환기를 맞이하고 있습니다. 남북 정상회담에 이어 지난주 북미 정상회담을 통해 한반도의 완전한 비핵화와 항구적인 평화 정착을 위한 초석을 다졌습니다. 한반도의 평화가 정착되면 한러 경제 협력에도 새로운 장이 펼쳐질 것입니다.
On top of strengthening the South Korea-Russia bilateral economic relationship, President Moon also emphasized the need to prepare for three-way economic cooperation with North Korea, adding that railway links are one way to accomplish that goal. Since establishing diplomatic ties in 1990, Seoul and Moscow have expanded bilateral trade, which reached $19 billion in 2017, up 40% on year. In particular, people-to-people exchanges hit a record high of 510,000 last year. Experts believe Korean businesses can benefit from Russia's energy and its original technology, while Korea can in turn help build Russia's infrastructure and logistics through its applied technology.
South Korea's new northern policy and Russia's new eastern policy will help deliver actual results. Russia's original technology and South Korea's manufacturing know-how are expected to create a huge synergy.
Already, the two countries have begun cooperation in natural gas, shipbuilding, and health and medicine.
South Korea and Russia boast a complementary economic structure, meaning there's more room for growth and trade. Both will be able to find a new growth engine. What's key now is to work on the specific details, like how to provide financing and address Russia's administrative regulations and laws so business projects can have consistency.
President Moon called the opportunities for Seoul and Moscow unlimited, and he laid out his goal of reaching bilateral trade of $30 billion by 2020 through enhanced cooperation. Kim Hye-sung, Arirang News.
After addressing the lower house of parliament on Thursday over in Russia, President Moon went to meet with Koreans living in that country. He assured them there will be no more war on the peninsula. Cha Sang-mi has the full story.
Meeting with Russian officials, Russians of Korean descent, as well as Korean nationals living in Russia on Thursday, President Moon assured them there will be, quote, no more war on the Korean peninsula.
한반도에 역사적인 평화의 기회가 열리고 있습니다. 이제 한반도의 전쟁은 다시 없을 것이고 남북 협력이 러시아와의 삼각 협력으로 확장될 것입니다.
President Moon said he will be sitting down with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on Friday to discuss ways the two nations can cooperate for peace and prosperity on the Korean peninsula and in Eurasia. He expressed gratitude to the Russian people who helped Korean independence activists on their soil during Japan's colonial rule of Korea in the early to mid-20th century. Noting that Seoul and Moscow will be celebrating 30 years of diplomatic relations in 2020, Moon said the advancement in their bilateral relations during such a short time frame was impressive.
최근에는 극동 지역과 유라시아 개발 협력을 통해 속도를 더하고 있습니다. 지난해 양국 간 교역량은 190억 달러, 전해와 비교해서 무려 40% 증가했습니다.
He stressed that the priority for Seoul-Moscow cooperation should be on the health and welfare of the two countries' citizens. Sharing his excitement for the Russia World Cup, he commented on sports and arts, ranging from Tolstoy's Anna Karenina musical shown in Korea and the K-pop and K-drama fever in Russia, saying they will surely bring South Korea and Russia even closer. The head of Moscow Korean Association welcomed President Moon, expressing hope the reconciliatory mood between the Koreas will lead to three-way cooperation with Russia. As for the next generation of Russians of Korean descent and Korean nationals living in the nation, President Moon vowed to provide support and expand scholarship programs so they can cherish Korean language and culture. 차상미, Arirang News.
Now, before we go live to Moscow for another historic first by the Liberal leader, we have a special guest with us to help navigate through the event that's sure to be a crucial step towards forging stronger ties between the two nations. Dr. Chung Dae-jin from the Aju Institute of Unification. Good to have you with us at this hour.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for making time for us at the very last minute.
Thank you.
Now, this is a very special event. It's another milestone for President Moon, this summit in the Kremlin, a first in the century. How would you gauge its significance?
Yeah, President Moon already announced his own policy, new northern policy during his presidential campaign, and he also announced the new southern policy. That's the two pillars of his new kind of diplomatic policy. And this maiden trip to Russia is the first step and a very significant kickoff to implement his new northern policy. As you know, Russia is a very big power, but many Koreans are not familiar with Russia, actually. So this President Moon's maiden trip will be fostered strong ties between Russia and South Korea.
Right, you mentioned that Koreans are not very familiar with Russia, and it's possible that South Koreans, we tend to have a greater exposure to influential cultures or entertaining cultures from the West, which is why we're very familiar with American and British culture.
Yes.
And of course, likewise, we let the world know through K-pop. President Moon Jae-in started his speech at the lower house yesterday by touching on literature and the cultural significance of Russia.
Sure. Yeah. We Koreans often regard Russia as just an energy big power, but Russians has a pride that they saved the world from the First World War and Second World War, from the threat of the war and the destruction of the civilization during the 20th centuries. They have a very high pride in their role to save the world and then to maintain the history of the world. But many Koreans didn't regard that legacy as a good thing. So many of us didn't know that. Yeah. And then we just regard, as I said, Russia as an energy big power. But as you mentioned, Russia is a country of the Tolstoy and Tchaikovsky and the literature and music. And the Russians are very proud of it. And we should remember that point if we would like to make a strong ties and if we would like to make some brighter future with Russians. And if, except economic cooperation and the cultural and then soft touch approaches is very important to make a strong ties and to make a very strong economic development cooperation.
I was surprised to learn that there are a lot of plays and books, even modern ones, that South Koreans can relate it to, that's from Russia, that you would not know it's actually Russian until you tell it to them, if it was a translated version of it. Do you think this cultural relevance could add to the very sparkling conversation between the two leaders today?
Yes, the point of the President Moon's, the characteristic of President Moon's speech has a very fruitful of expressions and then quotation from the country where he make a visit. Yeah. Last year in December, he made a visit to China. I was at the Peking University when President Moon delivered his speech, but I was very surprised at the time. President Moon touched the very forgettable. President Moon touched those who didn't familiar with us, but has a very significant meaning to the ties between China and Korea. So similar things was happen at this time. And the President Moon delivered his speech with very sophisticated and detailed persons and stories. And that kinds of a cultural touch will be very good foundation and a strong assets to make two summits come closer, and then make two countries come closer also. Yeah.
Right, President Moon certainly seems to be very knowledgeable in culture and history around the world, and he knows how to reach out and really strike up a conversation on the right note. How do you think Putin is responding to President Moon Jae-in's very usual approach, which is showing them that he understands them?
Yeah, as we know, Putin is a very strong guy. Yeah?
A very unique character.
Yeah, very unique character.
Sure.
But I'm short of information how Putin responded to that kind of the statement. I expect the President Putin's words and response later than now. Yeah, during the press conference. Yeah, I hope President Putin will express his satisfaction with President Moon's gesture as a good gesture to Russia. Yeah.
Right. The hot topic should be about the World Cup. Do you think the two leaders might have exchanged some views about the potential of their respective teams?
Yes, but I'm not familiar with this World Cup games. But Russia has a very strong potential.
The home team certainly has the crowd's backing.
To be the winner. Yeah, there's a strong potential. But as we know, the President Moon will watch the Korean national team's games tomorrow. But maybe the two leaders will exchange their views and the futures and how it will go on during the World Cup games. And then I think the President Moon may request some strong favor and from the Russians and for Korean soccer teams. Yeah, maybe something like that. That's the trivial things. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. The trivial things, are small talks, are usually good for striking a conversation from bottom up than top down. President Putin we talked about how unique he is. He likes to start things slow or late.
Yes, he's very
Tend to be casually late for most instances. Why is this the case? Is he trying to make a statement by showing up late?
Yeah, he would like to lead some situation with his counterpart. He will show his supremacy and superior than his counterpart. He tend to late. He always late for the summit talks, so he always late for the meetings. But at this time, but I don't remember. But the Prime Minister Abe was late than the President Putin. At this time, I think the last forum, the last economic forum, the Prime Minister Abe made Putin wait for him. So that was a very unique and an extraordinary picture.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we speak, Professor, we're actually getting the footage of the two leaders signing MOUs. I believe there are 12 that's being signed at this very moment. And of course, they will have a joint press conference after all the inks are dry, or even before the inks are dry, after they sign the respective agreements. And we're learning that they won't be fielding any questions from the press. Rather, it will be just a reporting to the rest of the world that all that's been accomplished during their sit-down. I think we spend more time waiting and, of course, enjoying the welcome ceremony than the actual discussions itself. Professor, would you say this is a good thing?
Yeah. Yeah, people.
Right. There was
two summits signing some.
Well, the fact that it took such a long time for it to happen, and
2 minutes, and exchange a very
rapid progression,
various documents, and then not only the foreign minister, but also the other ministers exchanged their some MOUs and then.
Right. There are many other officials
yeah.
that had their input and their imprints on these agreements that's being made.
Yes.
What do you think will be some of the key agendas that's been covered during this the signing?
Maybe there's some economic ties, and then the new northern the point of the new northern policy is to link the Korean Peninsula to the Eurasia, and then we have North Korea as a missing link.
Right.
But except North Korea, but Russia and South Korea also. Russia and South Korea can prepare something without North Korea. So I think the economic ties, and then that's the cultural minister, though.
Right.
Yeah, and then the cultural part, and then other economic partners are dealt with during this negotiation and during the summit. Yeah.
I think there's quite a lot of emphasis being placed on culture, to the surprise of many, when we thought they would only have time to focus on barely laying the groundwork for economic coordination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's surprise. I watched the the minister though, the cultural minister though. Yeah, it's a very good sign, and to make the two sides ties going well and for the bright future.
Right. Soft diplomacy is something that can't be neglected when two sides are just starting a strong relationship.
Yes, yes.
Again, as I mentioned before, South Korea and Russia, they do have a lot of vibrant exchanges that's going on without being highlighted as the main headliners in the news or other stories. But we've had certain cultural elements that we actually can relate to and connect with quite rapidly.
Mm-hmm. So, right.
Looks like things are progressing quite quickly.
Yeah. How many documents exchanges?
Our understanding is the Cheongwade confirmed that there will be 12 documents being
12
signed.
Documents.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks like all the respective ministers are. We're just getting word that it's down to 8. Fixed from the initial report that was 12. So these are 8 MOUs that's being signed.
Yeah.
So each minister that's contributed to this agreement and this summit is taking center stage for some photo ops. Good to see the leaders sharing the spotlight with their advisors. Initially it was 8, but they've added 4 more for the last minute. So total is 12. So that was the confirmation, that was the correct number.
It's not commenting and it's not easy to share some views and share that kinds of MOUs with Russia.
Right. It's quite an enigmatic
we have few opportunities to exchange that kinds of various MOUs and various talks with Russia.
Reportedly, FDA is the central topic between the two sides. So, as you said, economy related.
Economy is the
centering around trade.
Economy is the first agenda of this President Moon's maiden visit. Yeah.
Interestingly, main pledges during his presidential campaign used to be something that seemed to be veering away from economy, but rather setting things straight and improving people's lives. But unbeknownst to many, a lot of his efforts are directed towards reviving the economy, and it's bearing a lot of fruit quite rapidly, to the surprise of his naysayers.
Yes, I think the soft touch and then the software.
They are very closely intertwined.
Yeah, okay. I wonder whether Chairman Kim Jong-un is now watching that scene or not. Yeah.
It would be surprising to learn if he's not watching, right?
Yeah. It is not surprising for him. Yeah. It is already released and then it is.
Right. Perhaps he's already got prior knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of North Korea's relations with Russia, they seem to have experienced a bit of a falling out last year. But is it returned to normal these days with the improvements that North Korea has made in terms of opening up to the rest of the world?
Yeah, I think it is recovered and it is a normal state-to-state relationship now. And then Russia shares the borderline with North Korea, but as we know, Russia is a very big country. It does not belong to the Asia. He says something?
Right. Let's listen to President Putin at the joint press conference.
I and President Moon Jae-in met and we held a summit. And it was a very realistic summit and it was a very constructive summit as well. The two countries agreed to share views on the international agenda. And we also discussed and we had a very crucial agreement on cooperation. It's also entailed in the joint statement, and also we signed various MOUs. The Republic of Korea is a very important partner of Russia in the Asian Pacific region, and the two countries are carrying out great intensified cooperation, and we have on the basis various sectors of cooperation. And taking this opportunity, we took and we noted the importance of economic cooperation, and our trade enhanced 27%. And this year, the trade volume between the two countries increased by more than 6%. Therefore, Republic of Korea is Russia's second largest trading partner in Asia-Pacific region. And our investment also enhanced to $1.9 billion US, and many Korean firms are actively playing big roles in Russia, and they're investing in many sectors, including agriculture and other sectors as well. And we also discussed the importance of energy cooperation. Russia is providing stable energy sources to the Republic of Korea. And last year, we exported more than 12 million crude oil to South Korea, and we also exported energy sources. Korea is also cooperating with us to develop the Arctic region, especially in the LNG sector, and Korean corporations are also investing and discussing the partnership with the LNG project. And we also have discussed municipal government level cooperation between the two countries, and we also will hold the first ever municipal government forum between the two countries. And we talked about the Vladivostok port project, and we also talked about the developing project of the Arctic and TSR project. And we suggested that Korea would cooperate more actively, and these will be discussed in the Eastern Economic Forum. And I hope that President Moon will also participate in this forum. And we also discussed the human resources exchanges.
Every year, cultural festivals and the Day of Culture will be held. Korea will also participate in the 7th St. Petersburg as a host country. And exchanges in tourism is also in the agenda. In 2017, 260,000 Russians visited Korea, which is 26% increase year on year. The Russians who are visiting Korea increased 17%. This year, we discussed about the international issues, especially focusing on the issues on the Korean Peninsula. The landscape of the geopolitical landscape of the Korean Peninsula is developing, and the communication channels were open between the two Koreas. And there were substantial developments in the relations between the two Koreas. North Korea and U.S. had sat down for conversation, and we welcome this change. This will ease the tension on the Korean peninsula, and I believe it will. In the future, in this region, I hope there will be a steadfast security that is formed in this region. Lastly, to President Moon and the delegations from the Republic of Korea, I thank you for coming to Russia. I know this will not be the end. As far as I know, President Moon will go to this other city for the World Cup games and to cheer for the national team of Republic of Korea. I hope the Korean team performs well and have good results to bring back home. President Moon, the delegations from the Republic of Korea and the people of Korea, I would like to thank you, especially for your support and your warm hospitality during the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games.
I extend my deepest gratitude to President Putin and the people of Russia for your warm hospitality towards myself and our delegation. President Putin, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on the successful hosting of the World Cup Games. I can feel the festivities all across the nation. I believe that the people of Russia must be ever more happy since Team Russia is doing great. Korean soccer fans are also enjoying the World Cup Games even until late at night. I hope that it will be a historic World Cup that could unite the world. It's been my second state visit to Russia in 9 months since I attended the Eastern Economic Forum last year. I'm very grateful that our two countries are holding regular summits, as suggested by President Putin when we first met. And last year, when I was in Vladivostok, I was able to witness with my own eyes the infinite potential of the Far East, as well as the potential of bilateral cooperation in various sectors. And now that I'm here in Moscow, where a nation coexists with the civilization and where history coexists with the future, I have great hopes for the future of Korea-Russia cooperation. I believe that President Putin also shares the same view. We already share common policy direction. It's about making the lives of our citizens better. We agreed to carry out bilateral cooperation that can bring benefits to the citizens of both countries. First, the two countries will together lay out future growth engines through technological cooperation and innovation. To this end, we've agreed to establish the Korea-Russia Innovation Center in Korea and expand the Korea-Russia Science and Technology Cooperation Center. I also look forward to enhanced exchanges and joint ventures between startups of the two countries and intensified support for SMEs as well as venture firms. We will also carry out close cooperation in the new industry sector. It's also very meaningful that Korea is participating in Russia's largest innovative industry exposition, InnoProm, as a partner country. I hope to see enhanced bilateral cooperation in the areas of industry, investment, and innovative technologies. Moreover, I'm very grateful that the two countries have embarked on the domestic process to initiate negotiations for an FTA in the sectors of services and investment. The purpose of such efforts is to enable the people of our two countries to enjoy better economic benefits and to enjoy enhanced quality of life. In particular, I hope we can introduce quality jobs for our youth.
Second, Korea and Russia will cooperate more closely to realize the vision of peace and common prosperity in Eurasia and the Russian Far East. At the Eastern Economic Forum last September, I proposed the 9-bridge strategy to realize this vision. Today, President Putin and I reaffirmed the importance of the cooperation between our two countries in the areas of railways, power generation, gas exploration, shipbuilding, and port construction. I hope a comprehensive and detailed 9-bridge action plan will be adopted within the earliest possible time for the cooperation to accelerate. We agreed to promote exchanges between local cities. 17 municipal governments of Korea and the municipal government of the Russian Far East will participate in this endeavor. I will look forward to seeing fruitful and practical outcomes that could be felt in daily lives of the peoples of our two countries. Third, expanded cooperation in the areas of health and medical services will enhance health and welfare of the people. In the near future, a Korean-type general hospital will be established in Skolkovo, Moscow's international medical zone. I anticipate to see the remarkable activities by medical teams of the two countries specializing in cancers, cardiac disease, and cerebral nerves. Medical collaboration of the future utilizing state-of-the-art IT technology will also begin soon. Remote medical treatment will be conducted by using a mobile diagnostic device installed in the Trans-Siberian passenger cars. I hope more lives will be saved through the health and medical cooperation that combines the wisdom of our two countries. We also agreed to strengthen our communication and collaboration so that the Korean Peninsula and Eurasia can enjoy peace and prosperity together. To prepare for the trilateral cooperation among the two Koreas and Russia, we will first start with projects that South Korea and Russia can consistently pursue. Joint research on railways, electric grids, and gas pipeline connections will be the starting point. Recently, the Republic of Korea joined the Organization for Cooperation Between Railways as a regular member, which laid the foundation for future railway cooperation. I am deeply grateful to Russia for its greatest support that helped us throughout this process. Last but not least, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to President Putin and the people of Russia for the state visit invite and the warm hospitality. Spasiba. Thank you very much.
And there you have it. As we mentioned earlier, there will be no Q&A sessions. We see the two leaders exiting the venue after that joint press conference, letting the world know of the agreements reached and the discussions that were held. Now, going back to you again, Professor, before we wrap things up, it looks like they have an array of areas they overlapped in terms of exchanges, cooperation with the future in mind. It looks like the two leaders got to sit down and connect the dots to form a nice round circle.
Yeah, sure. So they made a very fruitful outcomes. This past summit widened the horizon of the two countries' relations, and they exchanged some MOUs and pact not only energy but also various areas of tourism. And I'd like to pinpoint that the municipal exchanges, the province, city-to-city exchanges is very helpful to make the two countries' relations very fruitful and colorful, than before. And then I'd like to pinpoint that the Small Business Support Center and expand the startup changes, many worries about some enterprises can plug into the Russian economies well or not. Many worries about that because the Russian customs and the Russian legal system is very different from the what we have. So many worries, and many have went through the difficulties in investing and in doing business in Russia.
It's a unique cultural environment.
Yeah, sure. So, but this kind of agreement to expand the startup change and to finance or to help small businesses support center. We need the government-based support center and the capacity building area to cooperate to foster the deep economic cooperation. And so that's the very good point of this summit. Yeah.
It was brisk, sweet, and productive. That will be how we sum it up. And I believe President Moon Jae-in and President Putin will have a lot more to discuss in the future. They will certainly meet possibly in the forum in Vladivostok to iron out the details. But thank you so much for making time for us, Dr. Chung Dae-jin. We appreciate your expertise and your insights.
Thank you.
Right, this is where we have to wrap things up. Thank you as always for staying with us.